Hello, publishers. We've known each other for a while. It's kind of a parasocial relationship, seeing as my livelihood as a midlist author is dependent on you and you barely know I exist. Well, you do, but you pretend you don't. When you were under oath, you admitted midlister basically means author with crap sales. I know you'd be more interested in my books if I had a bigger online presence. I know I should be selling my soul to the cringe gods of BookTok. I know if I had just a few more followers and likes and shares and a big fat juicy brand, you'd be able to break me out. Right? Because that's what you've been telling me and my fellow authors for like the last decade. But I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to marketing, truly, and business. So would you mind answering a few questions for me first? How can we create a fan base for a product that doesn't exist yet? I'm asking on behalf of hopeful debut authors. They're working hard on their first novel right now, and they know they don't have a chance of ever getting off the query go-round if they don't do this, if they don't build this platform first. Because that's what you keep telling them to do. But how is this supposed to work? Those aspiring authors might very well get a following by sharing their writing journey online, but even then, odds are most of those followers are more interested in the writing process content, not so much the type of fiction that creator is writing. And anyway, that novel doesn't exist yet. You're asking these aspiring authors to create a devoted audience of thousands, or let's be real, hundreds of thousands if it's going to get your attention, who will show up to spend $20 on hardcovers in big enough numbers to justify the advance that you might give them. Does anyone on your team with like a degree and or actual experience in marketing know how to do this? Because it seems like a really big ask to me, especially of a new author with no experience in marketing. Isn't it enough that authors create the actual product you profit off of? I'm not being facetious. The pressure you're putting on us to become branded marketing experts is working. Some of us are doing it at the cost of actually writing and burning out. The rest of us are quitting writing altogether. This burnout is happening with authors, musicians, and in many other industries. Do you want us to be influencers or novelists? Have you considered that authors, like all humans, have the right to privacy? I only ask because, based on what you're saying publicly, a huge part of that all-important branding you look for has led to authors experiencing pressure to out themselves as queer or trans, only write about traumas they have gone through as part of their race, orientation, religion, etc., show receipts that, like their characters, they too are survivors of assault, have a specific disability, have lived with a certain mental illness, and so on, all for the sake of that elusive book deal. Opening up online might be doing more harm than good. It should be a choice, not a mandate. Besides, sometimes we don't want to write about our own traumas for personal profit or for your profit. Sometimes we just want to write about dragons and shit, you know? Do you think there's long-term value to the whole BookTok strategy? Yes, we see the incredible sales boost BookTok has given to a very, very, very small percentage of novels. It's really phenomenal, and it's awesome to see a community of passionate readers making such a huge difference, and it's awesome to see indie bookstores thriving because of it. That said, can you count on more than one hand the number of authors who have successfully leveraged BookTok in a way to lead to significant sales? BookTok is a reader-first community, and it needs to remain that way. You heard TikTok launched its own publishing house, right? Any bets as to which books their algorithm is going to be focused on promoting? Hint, not yours. The biggest of the big fives has 64,000 followers on TikTok and gets a few thousand views per video. If a publishing house worth $3 billion can't break out on BookTok, how are we supposed to do it? You're probably aware of all the proposed TikTok bans in the US. While they may not all, if any, be successful, the national and private security threats are real, and we don't know how this is going to go over the next few years. And all that said, all social media platforms come and go. Twitter, as we knew it a few years ago, doesn't exist anymore in name or function. Is putting all your eggs in the TikTok marketing strategy basket really going to pay off? Keep in mind, authors working on novels and trying to sell them right now would come out at best in late 2025. How much cash runway do you have? I'm no business expert, but I looked this concept up. Basically, it means how long could your business run as is with zero sales? I ask because the businesses who thrived during the pandemic did so because they had this whole runway thing figured out. And I was confused because the thing is, the pandemic gave book sales a boost, yet you laid off a bunch of editorial, marketing, and publicity staff. Have you considered that perhaps your business would run more effectively and profitably if you thought a little bit more long-term than short-term? I'll link a cash runway calculator below if you need it. Have you considered that product quality might be the best way to improve sales? Books really, really good books. Maybe invest in that? Simple things like offering fair advances to authors, especially the aforementioned authors who write and open up about their experiences as part of a marginalized community, and who, despite your insistence that you want to uplift their voices, you've not really shown up for financially. And offering livable wages to the editorial, marketing, sales, and publicity staff, many of whom are required to live in the US's most expensive city to work for you, rather than waiting for them to strike, letting them continue to strike over the holidays, and then doing just enough to get them back to work. Treating and paying those folks fairly would probably lead to better books, don't you think? In short, if you pay those who conceptualize, create, and finalize the product you sell well, thereby attracting more and more qualified and talented workers in the future, you might see improved and more consistent profit in the long term. It's got to be better than your current, let's find the next Colleen Hoover, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks strategy, right? Not a question, just a word of advice. Never kowtow to those who advocate book banning again. They don't want your product to be widely available. They want to burn your product. It's kind of their whole thing. They aren't your friend and you can't appease them, period. And side note, I can't tell you how demoralized your kowtowing to them made your authors feel. Look, we authors know that writing isn't the only skill we need to have in order to have a career in publishing. We have a role to play in marketing and publicity for our books, and we want to do it. We'll gladly do it with your support. But you're asking us to be the experts, to use our own time, our own money, our own resources, to promote the books that we wrote, that you are profiting from. It's making a lot of us wonder, what's the point of you? We chose this route instead of self-publishing because we didn't have the means and or the will to swap our author hats for marketing, publicity, sales, and publishing hats. But if you can explain it to me, answer all of these questions, and really make me understand your side of things, I will put on my dancing shoes, jump on TikTok, and start throwing my spaghetti at the wall. Sincerely yours, an exhausted midlist author.